Good evening and welcome to SCTV, Simpson College's first student-run newscast. I'm Jake Brend. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Liv Allen. Thank you all for tuning in.
The Student Government Association and the first-year class voted in and inaugurated first-year class president Kylie Ray Torres and first-year class senator Kyle Werner. SCTV's Sophie Reese caught up with the newly elected officials.
I wanted to be in a position of power to where I can help people and have their voices be heard. And hopefully this year we can make more safe spaces for marginalized groups and we can support more people, staff, student, and faculty this year with my help.
I decided to run for SGA this year to help create a fostering environment at Simpson as my sister did so many years ago. And I just wanted to help foster that in a new modern way and help make sure that everyone has their voice heard and has the opportunities to have their voices heard.
This mask mandate, I really want to encourage people to get vaccinated so then we can get these masks off. We're really close to hitting that 80% mark, and hopefully by the end of the semester or starting next semester that we could get our masks off and we can actually be able to do stuff normally like we used to before COVID.
First years used their right to vote Kylie and Kyle into office. Congratulations to them. As viewers may know, last week Simpson Student Media hosted the annual Free Speech Wall in Kent Campus Center as part of our First Amendment celebration. I attended the annual Constitution Day lecture after tabling for the Free Speech Wall. Dr. France gave an incredible oration about the importance of our First Amendment rights, more specifically, knowing our First Amendment rights. Something she highlighted during the lecture really stood out to me, though. She highlighted the fact that there are, and always have been, limitations to our constitutional right of free speech. As political ideological tensions continue to grow more divisive, this made me think of more of the issue of social media censorship, which has been a hot-button topic of conversation in recent years. When someone's post is taken down by a social media company or service provider, one may think that that is a direct hit to that person's freedom of speech or expression. In reality, though, that's not always the case. There are actually several forms of speech that are not protected by the First Amendment. Those include obscenity, fighting words, defamation, perjury, blackmail, incitement of violence or true threats, solicitations to commit crimes, and certain forms of pornography. I'll let you use context clues to figure that one out. The First Amendment also clearly states that it protects citizens from government censorship. You'd think this is common knowledge, but surprise, we don't live in a George Orwell novel. Social media platforms are private entities. They have the legal freedom to censor or remove whatever type of content they deem necessary to remove. The power social media platforms or internet service providers have in terms of censorship is concerning to many, and rightly so. That's perfectly acceptable, perhaps even necessary, for those engaging in online discourse to be critical of a private entity's jurisdiction over its users' speech. However, I think it's perfectly justifiable for places like Facebook and even Twitter to flag or even remove posts containing misinformation, as misinformation is a legitimate threat to our democracy, something that is already, in my opinion, severely dwindling. One of my majors here at Simpson is political science. With multimedia journalism being my other major, it may come as no surprise that I've taken a liking to constitutional law. And honestly, I think that it's actually a good thing that some forms of speech are not protected by the First Amendment. Call me crazy, but I have no problem with removing the accounts of neo-Nazis who spew nothing but hate speech and fighting words. Former Justice Frank Murphy once said in the famous Shaplinsky versus New Hampshire case, "Such utterances are no essential part of any exposition of ideas and are of such slight social value as a step to truth that any benefit that may be derived from them is clearly outweighed by the social interest in order and mortality." Legal factors aside, people are quick to shout free speech as a defense mechanism after saying or posting controversial things. Again, the First Amendment is clear that it prevents the government from infringing on your right to free speech. Last I checked, I'm pretty sure the Constitution never mentions cancel culture. Yes, it's true. You're free to say, tweet, post, TikTok, MySpace, whatever you want, even if it's unpopular or a generally offensive opinion. You do have that right. Keep in mind, though, that your rights don't mean you won't reap the consequences of your actions. Just as you have the freedom to voice your opinion, others have the freedom to respond, and respond critically for that matter. Let it be noted that this goes for all forms of speech, and all platforms, and all people on the political spectrum. One is just much more quick to label those speaking back critically on the other side as snowflakes. And that's my take. Moving on, there's a brand new public piano in downtown Indianola. Ethan Humble has more.
Bringing music to the streets of Indianola, one colorful piano has become a community instrument on the Indianola Square. The city hosted a ribbon-cutting ceremony for the piano Friday, where it's located outside Page Turner's bookstore in the Odds and Ends 88 cents and up store. It marks one of the first projects of the newly reinstated Indianola Public Arts Commission. The group found the free piano online, and the rest was history, from making the instrument playable to then painting the piano in its eye-catching colors. Simpson first-year Danny Gilfanov grew up in Indianola before coming to Simpson this fall.
I think it's a really, really cool thing. Nowadays with COVID, people don't really get the opportunity to perform as much, and this is a way that people can do that. They can bring their friends around, play a little song for them, and maybe even gather a crowd.
SCTV would like to thank the Indianola Independent Advocate for their excellent reporting and willingness to share with us on this story. For SCTV, Ethan Humble.
Thanks, Ethan. If I had any musical talent, I would certainly try that out.
Right there with you, Jake.
The golf team underwent a new makeover this offseason. Larry Shoup stepped down after 14 years as the head coach, and in steps Coach Johnson. I went to a practice and caught up with the team about the new culture and the new tenure at the golf course.
Men's and women's golf are both coming off of last place finishes in the American Rivers Conference. A pandemic season combined with a part-time coach created a tough adjustment for the team. So, in comes new full-time head coach Jeremy Johnson.
Now we really have more structure of we're meeting at certain times. I have some different practice things I want them to work on, but really just having that more commitment to the structure is really what we're focusing on.
Every coaching change brings a new culture. This new tenure is no exception.
We're essentially just a giant friend group at this point, which is a great basis to put a team on.
So we're actually a lot closer this year. Before it was all kind of individual play. This year we're making sure we're texting every day, talking about what we want to wear. Instead of having that seniority, we're really working together as a team.
Team bonding is one thing, but this is college athletics. Players and coaches alike share the same goal: winning.
I'd like to score better for sure in conference, and I think we'll do that. We got a couple teams in our sights we'd like to catch this year, and then in the next 2, 3, 4 years with bigger roster sizes, I'm hoping that we can start contending in that top 2 or 3 schools every year.
I can only see it going up from here. I've really enjoyed even the last 3 or 4 months getting to know Coach Johnson. I'm really excited for the potential to really move up in the ARC.
From the Indianola Country Club, Jake Brend, SCTV.
It's great to see the program growing so much in Johnson's first year.
Part of that growth started today with a home meet. The Simpson Invitational at the Indianola Country Club on hole 1. Sydney Stevenson bounces her approach shot on the green. She shoots an 86 on the day. We go to hole 2. All smiles for Sydney. Hole 2, Grady Haynes sticks it down the pipe. That's a drive. He shot an 84 on the day. We go to hole 3 as Coach Connor Johnson doing his job. Hole 3, Isaac Rowe sticks it 10 feet out. Can't sink the birdie putt. He settles for par. He had a storm best 77 on the day. We go to 6. Brendan Bayer chipping for birdie. It bounces, it rolls, and he gets it. Listen to his family. You can hear him. He gives him the fist bump. He shoots an 82. We stay on hole 6. Freshman Nick Campbell darts his approach shot onto the green, and that puts him on the green again. He shoots an 88 at 17 over. We go to hole 11. Not a very easy hole. Senior Avery Peck hits her drive straight through. She breaks 100 for a round of 99. We go to finish on hole 18 with Maddie Stryker. She chips it on, and she had a team best 77 with 6 over par on the day. Women's soccer played at home last night against Augustana. First half, Cassie Nash makes a run and beats a defender and puts the shot just over the crossbar. We're still tied at 0. Another chance for Jordan Folsky. She fires from outside the box, but the keeper is right there. No scoring yet, but Brooklyn Freilich has something to say about it. She denies Augustana in the box. Again, lots of chances, but really strong defense from both sides. Here, Augustana gets one on net, but Brenny Frederick jumps on it. Storm get 2 goals in the second half and beat the Vikings.
Volleyball got off to a strong start in their week, beating Nebraska Wesleyan 3-1, but played some tough competition at the Wisconsin Lacrosse Invite, losing in 3 sets to Lacrosse, Stevens Point, Hamline, and Elmhurst. Football played their first American Rivers Conference game of the season, but fell in Cedar Rapids to Co. 42-22. Women's tennis lost a close one in a rivalry match against Pella to move to 2-2 in conference play. Meanwhile, the men's team fell to St. Ambrose in their first match of the fall.
Both soccer teams took a trip up north to Wisconsin over the weekend. The men, they tied Platteville. The women lost to Eau Claire and held strong in a 1-0 victory over River Falls. Women's tennis suffered a tough defeat to Division II Truman State, but Anna Wanek picked up a singles win along with a doubles win alongside Emily King. That's against a D2 team. How impressive. Volleyball continued their impressive conference campaign, moving to 2-0 in the ARC with a sweep over Decorah in Luther.
That's a lot of sports action for the Storm, and it's only getting busier as more sports seasons start rolling.
No kidding. I had no way of narrowing down the best plays of this week to just 3, but I tried. Here are the top plays of the week at Simpson College. Starting off this week at number 3, women's soccer in Grinnell. Haley Cowsen takes the corner, and Lizzie Arnberg finds it with a diving header. Wow, her first goal of the season. Storm win 5-3. To the Lynx for number 2, we just saw this one. Brendan Bayer in the rough, chips it up. It bounces a couple times, rolls, in for birdie. The fist pump and the tiger shirt. Gotta love it. Coming in at number 1, football. Brett Bobinette takes the snap, evades 2 Cohawks, rolls to his right, heaves it deep, and Reed Worth is there to make a tip-toe catch. That's a 37-yard completion, but the Storm lose a tough one, 42-22 still. What a toss from Bobinette. That'll do it for us this week. Thanks for joining us to hear about everything happening on campus.
As always, we want to thank Professor Siebert, Professor Carpinelli, and Professor Steffen for making this newscast possible.
We will be back at the same time next week, but until then, you stay classy, Simpson.